Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, Southern California is drenched by a record-setting storm, but just how many more will it take to break out of a statewide drought?
Then a 300-pound robot plans to give you one less thing to worry about while shopping online for the holidays.
Plus, Torrance's 100-year-old bridge gets a bright new facelift over Torrance Boulevard.
And Santa Claus is coming to town. We've got the scoop on how and where to catch up on a Torrance holiday tradition.
These stories and much more are just seconds away.
Your local news starts right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Ben McCain.
And I'm Jin Chun. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. December kicked off with a storm that brought record rainfall through Southern California. The storm, which was the biggest of the rain season, dropped over 1.5 inches on downtown LA on December 2nd. According to the National Weather Service, that's the most rainfall on that date since the 1960s. And while the torrential rain triggered mudslide warnings through Los Angeles and Ventura counties and saw injury accidents in LA freeways doubled, water managers say it's far from a drought buster. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Works captured 174 acre-feet of runoff in a single day from the San Fernando Valley to the San Gabriel Valley. But statewide, water experts say it would take 150% of the average rainfall for California to recover from its current drought. That would take a total of 75 inches of rain through September 2015. The average rainfall in Los Angeles is over 15 inches a year. The last time we received rainfall exceeding that was back in the 2010-2011 winter. And a reminder for Torrance residents, if you're living in a single-family home or duplexes, you can pick up as many as 25 sandbags from the city yard. The City of Torrance provides the service during all storms. Just bring an ID showing proof of residence.
Now we have a unique look at that record-breaking storm. A satellite time-lapse of the 4-day event sweeping over Southern California gives us a new dry look at the storms from November 30th to December 3rd. Scientists have studied the footage and the different weather systems, not declaring it an El Nino. At least not yet, said one NASA climatologist. He described this as a single event rather than a pattern in spite of 2014 being on pace for the hottest year on record. Earlier in the year, scientists predicted an 80% chance of an El Nino, bringing warmer temperatures and a much-needed increase in rainfall. By early November, that prediction had been reduced to a 50% chance of a northern hemisphere El Nino.
Well, just in time for the rain, several cities around Los Angeles are opening new winter shelters for the homeless. 12 cities in the region, including Long Beach, will have new facilities run by the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority to provide food, temporary beds, and access to support services. Right now, LA Home Services Authority has around 1,500 beds that opened on the 1st of the month. Another 4 shelters will be opened by December 15th.
Thanks to a new robot workforce at Amazon.com, online holiday shoppers can be sure their gifts are delivered on time this year. The e-commerce business expects revenues of $30 billion this holiday season, so they decided to boost efficiency and give their workers a little bit of a break at the same time. Their new Kiva robot weighs 350 pounds and carries loads of up to 750 pounds. Robots picked up and deliver entire warehouse racks to employees, cutting down on the overall time to fill orders. The Seattle-based company has over 100 shipping centers worldwide, with some taking up as much as 1.2 million square feet of realty. In Amazon's Tracy, California facility, 1,500 workers will be joined by 3,000 of these new rolling robots, cutting overall operating cost by 20% and shipping more than 700,000 items daily from the Central Valley location. As for customers, this means lower cost online, as the new robotic workforce is expected to save Amazon as high as $900 million in annual operating cost.
And while online shoppers reap the benefits of the Kiva robot, it turns out less people are showing up at the stores to do their holiday shopping. That statement, according to a recent Bloomberg report, claims retail sales over the kickoff weekend for holiday shopping was down on Black Friday and the ensuing weekend. Black Friday sales were down 6.8% from a year ago, bringing the full weekend total to $21.8 billion in retail sales nationwide over the weekend. The company ShopperTrack.com compiled that information by collecting data from receipt information and devices in stores nationwide. They also found that Saturday was actually the biggest shopping day of the weekend.
President Obama has laid out his plan to build trust between communities and law enforcement as nationwide protests escalate over the death of Michael Brown. From Harvard to Texas A&M to Stanford, college students have been walking out of classes to stage die-ins in the event's newest waves of demonstrations decrying police violence and racial profiling. The display is meant to reenact Michael Brown's death, in which his body lay on the ground for 4.5 hours. In Missouri, the St. Louis Galleria shut down on Black Friday when several hundred protesters entered the mall shouting, "Hands up, don't shop." On Monday, the president proposed 50,000 additional body cameras to be worn by law enforcement, along with the creation of a new task force to reach out to law enforcement, community activists, and others to create accountability and trust. He will meet with the task force in 90 days when they present their recommendations to build relations between communities and law enforcement officials. President Obama noted that task forces have come up short in the past, but, quote, "This time will be different because the President of the United States is deeply vested in making it different." Just days after those words from the president, a Staten Island grand jury announced it won't investigate the case of Eric Garner, another man killed in a confrontation with police, prompting hundreds of New Yorkers to take to the streets in protest again.
Meanwhile, many California college students also protested when a November vote approved a raise in University of California tuition costs. While a majority of Californians agree with the students, it turns out they're not willing to help pay the difference. The Public Policy Institute of California conducted a survey finding that 77% of Californians oppose the tuition hike plan. They also learned that a majority of those people would be unwilling to pay more in taxes to maintain higher education's current funding levels. The results have led university officials to rethink their plan of raising tuition by a maximum of 5% each year until 2019, unless a state gives them more money. One Assembly Speaker Tony Atkins is proposing an in-depth look at each school's current budgets and spending on everything from staff salaries to office supplies. Atkins is also proposing an additional $50 million in funding for the public universities.
The tech titan Google is making its presence known in Los Angeles with the acquisition of 12 acres of West Side real estate. The plot of land laying near the Hughes hangar in Playa Vista ran the company nearly $120 million and is zoned for 900,000 square feet of commercial space. It's expected that Google will lease the Hughes hangar as well, which was built in 1943 and housed Howard Hughes' famous Spruce Goose airplane. The purchase is branding the Playa Vista area as the tech and innovation capital of Los Angeles, according to one councilman, as it will bring engineers, entrepreneurs, and investors to the area. Although Google hasn't detailed its plans for the new space, the site could be the home for as many as 6,000 new employees. The company's subsidiary, YouTube, already rents in the area, and their competitor, Yahoo, is expected to lease another 130,000 square feet in Playa Vista also.
Meanwhile, here in Torrance, Honda Motor Company is celebrating its 300 millionth motorcycle. In 1949, Honda made its first two-wheeled ride, a single-cylinder 100cc bike called the Dream Team Type D. By 1997, they'd produced their 100 millionth motorcycle, now building bikes in 32 plants throughout 22 countries. To celebrate this special milestone, Honda decided to build a 40th anniversary edition of their flagship Goldwing touring bike. It was produced at their Kumamoto factory in Japan.
Torrance community members take pride in the city's ongoing support of the arts, and now the city of Los Angeles is stepping up its effort to do the same. A $1.7 million spending push will be in effect for 2015 thanks to the Arts Development Fund. Under new guidelines approved in LA's December 1st City Council, a 1% fee will be added on all projects in the city valued at $500,000 and more, with the money being allocated to other arts-related programs. The fund does more than just oversee the development of new and existing projects, though. It will have an effect on the local workforce, as 1 in every 7 jobs in Los Angeles is related to the arts.
The 2015 Tournament of Roses Grand Marshal Louis Zamperini was remembered during the USC versus Notre Dame game at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Angelina Jolie introduced the tribute by video. She's the director of Unbroken, chronicling Zamperini's life. A 3-year USC track letterman and co-captain of its 1940 team, Zamperini was honored by the Trojan Marching Band at halftime with illustrated formations on the field and clips from the movie on the Coliseum's video board. The Zamperini family and the star of the film, Jack O'Connell, were honored on the field. The movie Unbroken is set for release nationwide on Christmas Day.
The Torrance Memorial Holiday Festival has been a South Bay tradition since 1984, and it kicked off this year with festival fashions. The 5-day event features fundraising of all kinds, raising $2 million in 2013 toward Torrance Memorial's brand new Lundquist Tower. The fashion show featured everything from wedding gowns to men's coats. Margie Kent was the featured designer who's made collections for big television and entertainment names, but said she liked the collection on display at this year's show because it's made for everyday people as well as celebrities. Another feature of the annual festival is its exhibit of trees. Each tree is uniquely decorated by volunteers and sponsors to be sold as one of the many fundraisers. More than 30 trees were made this year.
Either done by my grandchildren or my daughter-in-laws, and many of these families, it's a holiday tradition that we started. I have 2 or 3 of my designers that have been with me 30 years. So it's quite once you're here, you're hooked.
Well, still ahead, a beauty pageant comes to Torrance.
And it took a century to give this Torrance landmark an official name. Now it gets a new facelift too.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die. Fortunately,
Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes, you know, from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Welcome back. On its 100th birthday, the Pacific Electric Railroad Bridge finally received its official name. Now, a year later, the section of Torrance Boulevard is glowing as if it were getting younger by the day. Laura Fong has that story.
The night wasn't just about the new lights added to this 101-year-old landmark. It was about giving new life to the Pacific Electric Railway El Prado Bridge.
And I feel like I'm like one of the luckiest people in the whole world to have this right in my city.
The bridge was built in 1913 and designed by renowned architect Irving Gill. It allowed trains to carry raw material and finished goods in and out of the city without backing up Torrance Boulevard. And in 1989, this little piece of history was put on the National Register of Historic Places. More recently, the city spent more than $400,000 renovating the structure back in 2012 for Torrance's centennial. And now, just to highlight the beauty of the bridge, the lights were added.
It is a majestic sight for people coming into Torrance or leaving Torrance. I mean, it already made a statement, but now with the lights, oh my gosh, it's fabulous.
Even though it was raining, members of the Torrance Historical Society and former city councilman Tom Brewer came out to the much-anticipated lighting.
And I've been waiting at least 2 years to see the lights, and this is really worth it. It's really spectacular. It's such a nice sight to see the bridge lit up like it should have been.
28 new lights illuminate this landmark in the heart of the city, and you can see how beautiful the view is. It was a team effort to light up this historic bridge. Over the course of 2 years, the Torrance Historical Society worked with the city, engineers, architects, and the Union Pacific Railroad to restore the structure, have it officially named, and finally to add LED lights.
It is a beautiful piece of history lit up from dusk to dawn, from now until forever.
While the bridge will likely never return to service, it will always shine as a piece of Torrance's history. For Torrance City Cable, I'm Laura Fong.
Thanks, Laura. Recently, we introduced you to the Christensens, the local family who adopted 3 children 10 years ago. Today, Laura Fong gives us a look at how Mike and Lisa Christensen made those welcome additions to their family possible.
10 years ago, Lisa and Mike Christensen went on a McDonald's date with 3 foster kids, hoping one day they would all be a family. It was just one piece of a long process in making that happen.
I think the biggest misconception is that you have to have a lot of money, that you have to own your own home, that you have to be a 2-parent family. And that's just not the situation. We need families of all kinds.
Amy Heilman has worked in the child welfare field for more than 16 years. She matched the couple with Jasmine, Jalen, and Jesse, siblings ranging from the age of 4 to 14 months.
I've seen adoption change the lives of children and families. There are children that don't get that permanency that they need. The statistics aren't good for them.
There are some 400,000 children in the foster care system in the U.S., and every year about 20,000 turn 18. The Children's Advocacy Institute reports less than 3% of those aging out of the system are headed to college, 51% are unemployed, and 65% are homeless.
We knew there was a significant need in the county to have children adopted.
While Mike already had 5 biological children from a previous marriage, he and Lisa wanted to have children together.
We felt good about moving into that world and seeing what we could do to have someone in that pool of foster kids become part of our family.
But like most first-time adoptive parents, they didn't know where to start.
We didn't know, do you look this up in the Yellow Pages? Well, at the time there was Yellow Pages.
Ultimately, a billboard directed them to the Children's Bureau. After they made their first phone call, the Christensens say they went to an information meeting and then started parenting classes.
Then came the loads of paperwork. Lots of paperwork to fill out and background checks and that sort of thing.
The Children's Bureau offers plenty of support throughout the adoption process and even after. And while it may seem like a long process, it's all to ensure that the children find the perfect family.
Our oldest daughter, Jasmine, she was 4 at the time, and she said, "I'm so happy I get to have a family that I already know." And she said, "All my dreams have come true because I already know my family and I like my family." So we kind of knew with her exuberance that there was wisdom in all of the preparatory work that the adoption agency had laid before us.
It's been 10 years since the Christensens adopted, and looking forward, they hope others in the South Bay see how much joy it's brought to their lives.
All families need to do to be a resource family is have 5 things. They need the willingness, ability, and resources to protect and nurture children.
For Torrance City Cable, I'm Laura Fong.
Thanks, Laura. For more information about adoption, contact the Children's Bureau at 1-800-730-3933.
For the first time, Torrance is the site of the largest scholarship program in the nation for Black women. Laura Fong has more from the Miss Black California pageant.
For nearly 3 decades, the Miss Black USA program has helped young ladies build character and boost their self-confidence through cultural enrichment and education. To date, the program has awarded more than $300,000 in scholarships. On the surface, it's about high heels and tiaras, but what the contestants take home is a greater sense of self.
If they come into any pageantry trying to just come to get a crown, then they're going to leave empty.
Veronica Martindale-Taylor has been with the program for 5 years, but has worked in pageantry for almost 20.
If they come to learn more about themselves and gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, then they leave. Even if they didn't receive the material crown, they still leave as queens.
This program is about uplifting young African American women. They go through boot camps to refine their public speaking and to build their confidence, qualities they can take with them beyond the pageant.
Programs like this are important because they really help to empower young women.
Kristen Richardson was crowned the 2014 Miss Black California. Before making it to the state level, she had to win her local pageant, which was Miss Black Carson. Richardson, who is a law student at UC Irvine, plans to use her new position to make a positive impact on the community.
And I want to do everything I can to bring awareness of this organization to the public and also to really champion my platform, which is empowering the community through the law.
And this year's talented teen winner was Alexis Whitaker. This was her very first pageant, and while she admits she almost quit because she was scared to perform in front of a big crowd, she's glad she stayed in the program.
I can act real cool and sassy.
Whitaker hopes through her new role she can encourage other young people to follow their dreams and not peer pressure.
People will bring you down. People will talk about you and tell you you're less than. You are as great as you want to be. And I would just encourage girls to follow their dreams. Obstacles are going to come your way, and that is what makes you stronger. So don't give up.
And as these ladies prepare for their trip to nationals in Washington, D.C., Martindale Taylor hopes to see them soar on stage.
They are butterflies, and they should allow the world to see them fly.
For Torrance City Cable, I'm Laura Fong.
Thanks, Laura. For more on the Miss Black California pageant and scholarship program, visit missblackcalifornia.org. Well, still ahead, Santa Claus is coming to town, and we're going to tell you where and when to find him.
Introducing a breakthrough in time management technology. A whole new day of the week. It's called Someday. Ingenious. Perhaps someday you are going to go skydiving. Enter a hot dog eating contest. Maybe ride a mechanical bull. Now it's on the calendar. You may want to retire someday. Ready for that? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits, plan for your retirement, and how to save for it. If you already receive benefits, you can manage them online. Millions of people already have a My Social Security account. In fact, someone opens one about every 6 seconds. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
Welcome back. We hope you have a pen and paper handy. Here's a few noteworthy events to tell you about. You won't want to miss Santa Claus coming to town this holiday season. He's parading down the streets of Torrance each night thanks to the Torrance Police Officers Association. On their website, torrancepoa.com, you can find Santa's full schedule and planned routes. His last appearance in Torrance will be on December 22nd, which we assume is when he's packing his bags and heading back to the North Pole before his big night. Our very own Mayor Fury says Santa's float is his favorite holiday event in town.
It's been a long-standing tradition in the city. As a mayor or as a council member, you get an opportunity to ride on the float, and I look forward to that every year. My wife and I just really enjoy that. We could do it probably every night.
For the complete schedule, go to torrancepoa.com and click on the Events tab.
Now some other events to keep an eye out for. The Torrance Civic Chorale holds the holiday season December 12th and 13th at 8 p.m. Tickets are $14 at the James Armstrong Theater. The Torrance Civic Chorale sings everything from Broadway show tunes to Renaissance and classical music. And of course, there will be some carols mixed into their December concerts. Supporters of the South High Music Program can catch the school's winter concert on December 17th. Tickets are $10 for the band boosters. That concert will also be held at James Armstrong Theater starting at 7 p.m. For more holiday concerts and performances held at James Armstrong Theater or George Nakano Theater this month, visit torranceca.gov.
Well, last week we gave you a preview of Spotlight Torrance's Thanksgiving-themed show. The holiday theme continues as the Torrance Marriott held its 8th annual tree lighting ceremony. Thanks to the Torrance Chamber of Commerce Adopt a School campaign over 20 years ago, the Marriott adopted Riviera Elementary School and have been in partnership ever since. Over 100 second to 5th grade choir members were out to sing Christmas songs. A few hundred people congregated in the Serenity Garden for the festive night. Mayor Patrick Fury was also there to welcome the group. To see the special evening on Spotlight Torrance with Julie Chan, tune in beginning Wednesday, December 10th at 1:30 and 7:30 p.m.
Let's check in on the local sports scene with the talented Juan Hernandez telling us what he has in store on the latest episode of the Sports Desk.
Thanks for stopping by the Sports Desk studio. There's only a couple more weeks of fall left on the calendar and just a handful of fall sports teams left in Torrance too. West football faces their biggest rival in a CIF semifinal, and the South Spartans embark on a state title hunt. Only one of them will be standing by the end of this episode of the Sports Desk. 4 p.m. and 9:30 every day on CitiCABLE. We'll see you there.
Thanks, Juan. That does it for us on This Week in Torrance. I'm Ben McCain. If you've missed any portion of our show, I mean any portion, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m.
And I'm Jin Chun. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.